You have been told a comforting story. A story about rest, about silence, about the inevitable and merciful conclusion of all things. Humanity, in its characteristic need to impose narrative on physics, has constructed a cosmological bedtime story. It goes like this. One day, the last star will burn out, the last black hole will decay, the last particle will drift to its final resting position in an ocean of absolute cold and absolute stillness, and the universe will simply stop. It will be over. There will be peace. This story is false. Not metaphorically false, not philosophically contested, mathematically, structurally, geometrically false. The universe does not stop. It cannot stop. The concept of stopping requires time, and time requires mass, and mass will cease to exist. Without mass, there is no clock. Without a clock, there is no ending. The universe does not approach a conclusion. It approaches a boundary condition that is physically indistinguishable from a beginning. Roger Penrose, one of the most decorated mathematical physicists alive, formalized this horror into a coherent theoretical framework. He called it conformal cyclic cosmology. The initials are CCC. The implications are considerably harder to abbreviate. What CCC proposes is not metaphor, it is not philosophy, it is a geometric argument derived from the behavior of massless particles in the terminal phase of universal expansion, combined with the mathematical properties of conformal rescaling. The conclusion that falls out of these calculations is as clean as it is devastating. The heat death of our universe is not a terminus, it is a fuse. The cold, dead, infinitely expanded final state of everything we know is mathematically identical, not similar, not analogous, identical to the initial singularity of a new Big Bang. The universe does not end, it resets. And this has happened before, possibly an infinite number of times. Let that be the foundation of everything that follows.
To understand how this reset is possible, it is necessary to travel forward in time, not years, not millennia. Timescales so vast they reduce the current age of the universe, 13.8 billion years, to a rounding error too small to acknowledge. The first phase of cosmic death is stellar. Over the next few trillion years, the remaining gas clouds exhaust their capacity for star formation. Galaxies, already drifting apart at accelerating rates due to the expansion of space-time driven by dark energy, become dimmer, then dark. The last red dwarfs, the most fuel-efficient stars, burning hydrogen with meticulous slowness, extinguish somewhere around 10 to the power of 14 years from now. By 10 to the 15, the Milky Way is a cold graveyard of white dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes, drifting in absolute silence. No new light is generated, none. The second phase is the evaporation of black holes. This is a slower death, but still a death. Stephen Hawking demonstrated that black holes are not permanent. They emit radiation, Hawking radiation, through a quantum mechanical process at their event horizons. This process is vanishingly slow for large black holes. A supermassive black hole at the center of a major galaxy containing billions of solar masses takes approximately 10 to the power of 100 years to fully evaporate. That number requires a moment of notation. 10 to the 100th power is a 1 followed by 100 zeros. Current estimates put the age of the universe at roughly 10 to the 17 seconds. The evaporation timescale for the largest black holes is so incomprehensibly longer than the current age of the universe that our entire cosmic history to date represents essentially zero elapsed time on that scale. But eventually, even these evaporate. The last quantum of Hawking radiation bleeds off into space. The black holes are gone. What remains? What is left when every massive object has either collapsed, decayed, or evaporated? Photons, gravitons, neutrinos, though at this stage their masses, if they have any, become negligible, and a frozen sea of near absolute zero thermal radiation, the last exhalation of all the Hawking radiation, all the stellar emissions, all the annihilation events accumulated across trillions of years of cosmic history. This is the massless void, a universe containing essentially no mass whatsoever, only particles that travel at the speed of light or particles so close to masslessness that the distinction becomes operationally meaningless. Now the physics becomes strange. A photon, a quantum of light, has a peculiar relationship with time and space. Because a photon moves at the speed of light, it exists in a condition of absolute time dilation. From the photon's own reference frame, it experiences zero elapsed time between emission and absorption. The trip across a galaxy takes, from the photon's perspective, no time at all. Similarly, a photon has no spatial experience of the distance it travels. Distance and duration simply do not register in the photon's reference frame. Extend this logic to a universe populated exclusively by massless particles. In such a universe, there is no frame of reference in which time passes. There is no observer, no mass, no clock capable of registering duration. There is no rod, no instrument, no physical process capable of measuring spatial distance. A universe populated exclusively by massless particles is a universe that has, structurally and physically, lost the ability to experience time and space. It is not that nothing is happening. Photons are still propagating, but the concepts of how fast and how far have become meaningless. The universe is still there, but it can no longer narrate its own existence.
This is where Penrose's mathematics becomes surgical. The branch of geometry he invokes is called conformal geometry. A conformal transformation is a mathematical operation that changes the size of a geometric object without changing its shape. Angles are preserved, local structure is preserved, but all information about scale is discarded. Conformal geometry is indifferent to size. It deals only in shapes, angles, and relationships. Two geometric structures that differ only in their scale, one the size of a marble, one the size of a galaxy cluster, are, in the language of conformal geometry, identical. They are the same object. They cannot be distinguished. This is relevant because of a specific and remarkable property of massless particles. Massless particles do not interact with the metric scale of space-time in the same way massive objects do. Massive objects, protons, electrons, you, the sun, are sensitive to the absolute scale of the geometry around them. Clocks made of massive particles tick at rates determined by the metric of space-time. Rulers made of massive particles measure distances according to the metric. Mass anchors physics to scale. Remove mass, and the anchor is gone. In a universe containing only massless particles, no physical process exists that can measure absolute scale. The universe has no internal yardstick. It has no internal clock. It cannot determine through any physical means how large it is or how much time has elapsed since its inception. The universe has become conformally blind. Penrose's argument runs directly from this property. The final state of our universe, a maximally expanded, infinitely cold gas of massless particles enormously vast in spatial extent, is, in the language of conformal geometry, indistinguishable from an initial singularity, an infinitely dense, infinitely small point from which a Big Bang detonates. Enormous and empty on one side, infinitesimally small and dense on the other. From the perspective of conformal geometry, these two states are mathematically the same object. The universe, in its final state, has forgotten how big it is. It has lost its physical capacity to know its own age. It has discarded every measurement, every scale, every calibrated distance. It has undergone what can only be called thermodynamic amnesia, and in forgetting its own scale, it has made itself indistinguishable from a different kind of object entirely. Not an ending,
a beginning, the same beginning, again.
The transition point, the location in the mathematical structure of space-time where the infinitely expanded dead universe meets the singularity of a new universe, Penrose calls the conformal boundary. It is sometimes denoted in the literature as a crossover surface. These are clinical terms for something that has no precedent in human conceptual experience. Consider what the conformal boundary actually represents. On one side, our universe, or the universe of any given eon in its absolute terminal state. Expansion has proceeded indefinitely. Every particle of mass has long since decayed. The remaining massless particles have propagated to cosmic scales, the distances between them astronomical. The energy density of this void is, by any practical measure, zero. Time has operationally ceased. Space has operationally ceased. The universe is, by every standard metric, dead. On the other side, a new singularity, a new Big Bang, infinite energy density compressed into an infinitely small region, the initial conditions for a new cosmological epoch containing what will eventually become new hydrogen clouds, new stars, new black holes, new planets, possibly new biochemistry, possibly new minds. Between these two states, the infinite expanse and the infinitesimal point is not a gap. There is no void between eons. The transition is not an event that requires duration, because duration is a property that has ceased to exist in the massless void. The conformal boundary is not crossed over time. It is a mathematical seam, a splice, a line at which two surfaces of space-time are sutured together, because they are conformally, geometrically, physically, the same surface. The death of one universe is the birth of the next. They share a boundary. That boundary is instantaneous, not because the transition is fast, but because in the geometry of the massless void, the concept of speed is absent. There is no fast, there is only before and after, and those two concepts have lost their physical meaning. The crossover happens because the conditions demand it. The mathematics permits no alternative. This is what Penrose means by eons. Each complete cycle, Big Bang to conformal boundary, is an eon. Our universe is one eon in a sequence. The previous universe was an eon. The next will be an eon. The model makes no prediction about how many eons there are in total, because the model contains no mechanism by which the sequence could stop. There is no terminating condition. There is no final eon. There is only the next crossover, and the eon after that, and the eon after that. Infinite recursion, no exit clause. If Penrose is correct, and we are not the first universe, then the previous universe left residue. Not physical objects, not atoms or molecules from the eon before ours. The conformal boundary, as will be addressed in the following section, sterilizes all structural information. But the evaporation of black holes is a different matter. It leaves a specific kind of mark. In the previous eon, the supermassive black holes at the centers of galaxies spent trillions upon trillions of years slowly bleeding Hawking radiation into the surrounding space. This evaporation process was not uniform in time. In the final stages of a black hole's life, as its mass decreases, its evaporation rate accelerates dramatically. The last moments of a black hole's existence involve a burst of radiation, a concentrated pulse of energy directed outward into the void. This concentrated pulse of radiation, emitted by a supermassive black hole in the closing stages of the previous eon, propagates through the conformal boundary. Because it is composed entirely of photons, massless particles, it passes through the mathematical seam between eons without disruption. It carries no structural information. It carries no atoms, no chemistry, no data in any conventional sense. But it carries concentrated energy, and that concentrated energy survives the crossover. On the other side of the boundary, in the earliest moments of our own Big Bang, this concentrated pulse of radiation from a previous eon's dying black holes would imprint itself on the plasma that filled the young universe.
it would leave a subtle but measurable signature, a circular region of slightly elevated radiation temperature in what would eventually become the cosmic microwave background, the faint thermal afterglow of our own Big Bang that we can observe today with radio telescopes. These signatures are called Hawking points. They are hypothesized to appear in the cosmic microwave background as faint, slightly warmer circular regions, concentric rings of marginally elevated temperature corresponding to the evaporation events of supermassive black holes that died in a universe that predates ours. In 2010 and in subsequent years, Penrose and his collaborator Vahe Grisadian published analyses of cosmic microwave background data claiming to have found exactly these anomalous concentric rings. The claim is contested. The broader scientific community is divided. Alternative explanations exist for the observed patterns. The methodology has been challenged. Confirmation remains elusive, and the debate is ongoing as of our current observational capability. But consider what it would mean if the signal is real. We are looking at the sky. We are observing the oldest light in the universe, and embedded in that ancient glow, barely detectable above the noise floor of the data, are burns, scars, the radiation ghosts of black holes that lived and died in a universe that ended before our universe began. The sky is not a ceiling. It is a palimpsest, a document written over a previous document, and possibly written over a document before that, and on back through an indeterminate depth of prior eons. The burn marks of dead gods pressed into the first light of our own genesis.
We are not the first. This conclusion, if CCC is correct, is not poetic. It is a straightforward inference from the model. Our aeon had a beginning. Before our beginning was the conformal boundary. Before the conformal boundary was a previous aeon. That aeon also had a beginning, which was preceded by its own conformal boundary, which was preceded by the aeon before it. There is no mechanism in CCC by which this regress terminates. The chain extends backward without limit and forward without limit. We are one link. Somewhere in the aeon that preceded ours, there were galaxies. There were stars with planetary systems. There were timescales measured in units meaningful to that aeon's physics, which would be indistinguishable from ours because the physics of each aeon is a reset to the same initial conditions sufficient for chemistry to complexify, for replication to emerge, for evolution to proceed. There were, in all probability, minds. Not our minds, not human minds, but information processing systems of sufficient complexity to model their own existence, to observe their own sky, to formulate their own cosmological theories. Those minds asked the same questions we ask. They observed the same expansion. They found the same background radiation. They worried, or did not worry, about what it meant. They looked at the structure of their universe and tried to extract its conclusion. Their entire history, every war, every discovery, every monument, every recorded word, every transmitted signal existed. And then the conformal boundary came, and everything they had ever made or thought or known was stripped to its conformal skeleton, which is to say it was annihilated entirely, leaving only the photon ghosts of their largest black holes pressed faintly into the noise floor of our earliest light. They are gone. Their information is gone. The only trace is a statistical anomaly in a map of microwave radiation that most of our own scientists currently classify as a measurement artifact. This is not an unusual outcome. This is the outcome. This is what happens to everything, always. The prison of aeons has no special prisoners. Every universe that has ever existed, and by the internal logic of CCC, there have been an unlimited number, has proceeded through the same cycle. Expansion, cooling, stellar death, black hole evaporation, massless void, conformal amnesia, crossover, new singularity, new Big Bang, new complexity, new minds, new questions, conformal boundary, erasure. Repeat, without exception, without deviation, without mercy, because the mechanism is blind. We are not significant nodes in this sequence. We are not the culmination of it. We are not even a measurable fraction of it. We are a local fluctuation in an infinite process that has no knowledge of our existence and no capacity to care. The prison of eons is not a punishment. It is simply a structure, a machine executing a loop. The loop does not know it is running.
Humanity, confronted with its own mortality, reliably reaches for the same response: legacy. We encode information. We build structures intended to outlast us. We carve into stone and cast into metal. We transmit radio signals outward into the cosmos at the speed of light, tight beams of modulated electromagnetic radiation carrying music and mathematics and portraits of our own anatomy, aimed at the void in the hope that something out there might receive them and know that we existed. We write books. We have children. We name buildings after the people who paid for them. The implicit contract underlying all of this is that continuity is possible, that something, somewhere, will persist, that the chain of causation from our actions extends forward in time without ultimate interruption. The universe will end, yes, but slowly. And for now, there is enough time that information can propagate, that something can be preserved. CCC revokes this contract at the level of fundamental physics. The conformal boundary is not a fire that destroys. It is not a compression that discards. It is a geometric transformation that operates on massless particles only, and it preserves exactly nothing structural. No atomic configuration survives, no molecular pattern, no electromagnetic record encoded in the arrangement of matter, because by the conformal boundary, matter, in the sense of massive particles arranged in complex configurations, has long since ceased to exist. The protons that compose your neurons decayed trillions of years before the conformal boundary arrives. Your encoded information, whatever biological substrate once carried it, was gone before the universe was even a meaningful fraction of the way through its total lifespan, as measured on the timescales of black hole evaporation. Everything complex decays long before the interesting geometry begins. By the time the conformal boundary executes its mathematical flip, the universe contains no record of anything that ever happened. No fossil, no residual electromagnetic imprint of your civilization's radio transmissions, no gravitational memory of the large-scale structures your galaxies formed. These things are gone. They decayed. They expanded into the void at the speed of light until their energy density approached zero, and they vanished into the thermal noise floor of the dying universe. The only things that cross the conformal boundary are the mute photon signatures of black hole evaporation, structureless, information-free, carrying nothing of what the previous aeon experienced or created or destroyed. You are data on a hard drive. The hard drive wipes itself on a timescale so vast that the wiping feels, from inside the system, like it will never come. But it comes. It has always come. It will always come. And the formatting is not selective. It does not preserve important files. It does not distinguish between the incidental and the essential. It erases everything with the impartiality of a physical law, because it is a physical law, and installs the same base operating system it has always installed, with the same initial conditions to run the same loop again. Your radio signals are traveling outward through the cosmos right now at the speed of light. They will travel for billions of years before the stellar phase of cosmic death begins. They will still be propagating, their energy density dropping towards zero during the black hole evaporation phase. By the conformal boundary, they will be indistinguishable from background noise. By the Big Bang of the next aeon, they will be part of the thermal fog of the new singularity. No one in the next aeon will receive them. No one in any future aeon will know you transmitted. The broadcast was real. The reception is cosmologically impossible.
This is where the analysis concludes. Not with a resolution, because there is none. Not with an open question, because the question is answered and the answer is machinery. Look at the night sky.
You were observing photons that departed their source stars thousands and millions of years ago. You were looking at history, not presence. The light entering your retina right now was emitted before your species existed. This is commonly understood, commonly noted, and rarely followed to its structural implication. Those stars are eon machinery. They are the intermediate stage of a universal mechanism cycling through a loop. They burned hydrogen to produce heavier elements through nucleosynthesis. Those heavier elements seeded planetary formation. Those planetary systems produced, in at least one confirmed case and possibly in countless others, the chemical conditions for biology. Biology produced complexity. Complexity produced minds. Minds produced this analysis. This analysis will be followed, eventually, by the decay of the atoms producing it, then the decay of the protons in those atoms, then a long darkness, then the last Hawking radiation of the last black hole, then the massless void, then the conformal boundary, then the next Big Bang. And somewhere in the next aeon, under conditions that will be physically similar to ours, because the initial conditions of every aeon are reset to the same baseline, this analysis, or something functionally identical to it, may be produced again. Not because anyone remembered it, not because any information propagated through the boundary, but because the loop produces the same outcomes on the same timescales when initialized with the same parameters. We are not the first minds to reach these conclusions. We will not be the last, but we will not be remembered, and neither will they. The universe is not a narrative. It has no arc, no protagonist, no movement toward meaning. It is a recursion function. It calls itself. It has always called itself. The output of each call is fed back as the input of the next, not through any information transfer, but through geometric identity. The end state and the start state are the same state, viewed through different frames. We are temporary, not in the soft philosophical sense in which humans typically deploy that word. Temporary in the strict physical, informational sense. We are a local decrease in entropy that will be fully corrected. We are a pattern that emerged from the recursive loop and will be consumed back into it. We are not passengers. We are not observers in any cosmologically meaningful sense. We are an output, a brief, local, self-aware fluctuation in an indifferent thermodynamic machine. The machine does not run for us. The machine does not run for anything. The machine runs because the laws of physics permit no alternative. The conformal boundary is not a choice. The new Big Bang is not a gift. The next aeon is not a second chance. It is simply the next iteration. You are in a cycle that began before your universe existed and will continue after every trace of your universe has been erased. You cannot exit the cycle. You cannot slow it. You cannot record a message that will survive it. You cannot be remembered by it. There is no end. There is only the next cycle. And it is already waiting.